Welcome back to All About the Geek Speedrun, your weekly geeky news roundup. Starting with a special interest piece, JR East, Japan's largest rail company, recently announced the deployment of their on-platform office rental space. Their station desk booth offers 5 cubicles, 3 of which are soundproofed, at a cost of around 250 yen per 15 minutes, or about 1,000 yen for an hour. That translates to $2.50 Canadian, or about $10 per hour, for access to these quiet, private spaces with desks, terminal plugins, etc. Now, this is a great idea if you've got some sort of important call or video message or video conference you need to make but are waiting on a train to get to your actual office. And while hardly something new in Japan, this is the first of its kind to exist right on the platform. Accessing these funky little office booths is done through booking on a website. You are then sent a QR code to your phone that you can use to access the portal once you're there. While it's definitely a little more business focused than your classic capsule hotel, it definitely serves that important, crazy busy business lifestyle that the Japanese culture is known for these days. Some tech news today about the upcoming Rocketlake CPU launch from Intel. AnandTech got their hands on a retail copy of the 11th generation Intel CPU from a German retailer online. Now, this is well in advance of any tech reviewer receiving their sample from Intel, and so this is quite odd given that the retail launch isn't scheduled to happen until March 30th. I'm recording this on March 7th, a full 23 days ahead of the launch, and AnandTech has already had enough time not only to write an article but to bench test the CPU in several different platforms and contact Intel about their concern about breaching their NDA for future review samples. Now, the good news is for AnandTech that their NDA with Intel is leveraged on the reception or receiving of their tech sample or their review sample from Intel, which they don't have yet. So they are free to do what they want with this data as they were able to purchase it on the open market just like anyone else can. What it does mean is that this German retailer has broken their agreement to keep those boxes sealed up until the appropriate time and making them available. Now, this was on their main website. This wasn't like some guys in the back room opening them up and selling them on eBay. So the retailer is going to be in a little bit of hot water and may have jeopardized their access to Intel CPUs, and possibly other companies might take note as well and not ship them product in time for launch days. Bad news for them, and really given the fact that AnandTech's article seems to indicate that this new 11th generation CPU doesn't outperform its AMD counterpart, it's a double whammy of bad news for Intel. Not only is their new chip available on the market 3 weeks ahead of time, it's also not better than its last chip. So sorry, Intel. Going with a little bit more bad news for people, SpaceX successfully landed their SN10 Starship last week. The video below demonstrates the vertical landing process that looks right at home in any 50s sci-fi movie, landing on its bottom and fins. The landing seems to go quite well and is actually quite spectacular to watch, right up until the earth-shattering kaboom that occurred several minutes after it touched down. While SpaceX continues to hopefully march towards the colonization of the red planet, I'm pretty sure Mars has a little bit of time to wait before they have to start worrying about humanity coming along and polluting the snot out of that planet too. Staying with science news, but shifting to the inevitable Games Workshop portion of the content, because let's face it, Games Workshop has something every week. A Harvard University professor has taken the opportunity to name a new species of arachnid after his favorite Warhammer 40k character, in this case, Abaddon the Despoiler, much like the fictional Abaddon. This arachnid, named Abaddon the Despoiler, is covered in spike-like spines, but has no fangs or poison. And so much like the Abaddon in the 40k universe, is of little threat to any even moderately protected settlements, despite the fact that it lives in Western Australia, a place known to be about as dangerous as the Eye of Terror. And Games Workshop definitely wasn't going to leave the news simply to the naming of a spider after its most feared and failed war leader. The ubiquitous game company has released an expansion for its Bloodbowl second season box set. Bloodbowl Dead Zone brings you the ability to create customizable mercenaries. These hired guns, as it were, are, quote, not quite as famous as star players yet. In addition to these new players, you'll have the ability to play in new environments such as Bubbling from Below or Blizzard, which will either create modifiers across the statistics for all players on the pitch, or add modifiers to the dice rolls for things like armor saves and armor penetration. Finally, the book also brings a new format to the game called Sevens. This is intended to represent minor league or college level type gameplay on a smaller pitch using only 7 players per side. The new gameplay will also introduce some new inducements to represent that really gritty, hard, and wanna come up sort of play that you would expect in such a league that is trying to feed into the greater Blood Bowl. And wrapping up today's content, Hidden Path Entertainment has announced that they are working on a AAA open world Dungeons & Dragons video game. The announcement came via a tweet from the company, as they are on a hiring spree to bring various developers and producers on board to make this audacious undertaking happen. I'm not overly hyped about it just yet. It has potential to be phenomenal, but given that they're only at the hiring stage, it's probably years before we'll see any real progress, if at all. And let's be honest, games at this stage can still die on the vine. Now, I'm not disappointed, as we know that we have an upcoming co-op action RPG coming, as well as the currently available in early access Baldur's Gate 3, which just recently got an update to include the Druid class. So if you haven't already, I would suggest giving that a look on Steam at your earliest convenience. Now, one last tidbit before we wrap up for today. I just wanted to let you know that if you missed out on the Pariah Nexus, which I reported on Wednesday was already sold out, you may still be in luck. If you live in Canada, in particular, the French edition is still available if the models are what you are primarily after. Now, if you wanted all the rules and all of that jazz, there may still be other options for you, as I am constantly seeing on my local online marketplaces ads for people who are looking to offload the portion of the box they don't want. Both the Necron sets and the Space Marine sets seem to be available, so if you were disappointed that you couldn't get it from GW and are really dying to get those miniatures, check your local online marketplaces to see if someone is willing to split that box with you. So that's it for today. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment below on the types of articles you'd like me to follow up on a weekly basis. Until next time, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and as always, work your wonk and keep it geeky.